Hello and welcome to the Creative Kobold. I'm Gyra and today we are going to have a look at some pre-painted miniatures that I got at a reasonable price. These were a local listing and most of them are old Dungeons & Dragons miniatures, like the product line Dungeons & Dragons miniatures by Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, not WizKids like today. First off, I have a bunch of these Dark Creeper minis, so I think I have at least one of them from earlier, but now I have enough to make several types of encounters with them, which is always pretty nice. Good to have more of these types of creature minis. Then we have this one that's called Blue. It is also one that I believe I have at least one of. I'm not sure, but I think it's actually a goblin with blue skin, and I think it has got that blue skin because it has telepathic abilities or telekinetic abilities or something like that. And there's these Rune spiral demons. These are kind of interesting little creatures, kind of like demon tortoises. I have at least one of them from earlier, but again, nice to have more of these so I can set up encounters and actually use them. Like many of these are like, you're not going to throw just a single one of them at the players. You're gonna need multiples. Here we have a couple of dire rats. I think these are very cool sculpts. I also really like that they have the spikes. I like the design for dire creatures to not only just be giant versions of the creature, but also have these spikes coming out of their skin. I've always found that to be very cool. And then you can have the regular giant creatures called just like giant rats and such. This is Snig the Axe, which I got two of. Some named NPC goblin. Very straightforward, yellow skinned goblin as they tend to be in D&D. There is also a Snig Warg Rider, I believe, miniature with the same character on top of a warg. Here's the Goblin Piccador. It's a simple goblin mini. I kind of don't like the paint job too much. It's kind of weird. It's missing details. There's absolutely no details on the face. For some reason, the spears on the back are painted differently from the spear he's holding. Yeah, it's a bit weird, but you know, it's a goblin mini I didn't have, and I might just freshen this up a bit, so to speak, so it can at least look a bit more decent. I could definitely just paint this part black and the ends on the spears on the back there silver instead. Here we have two Huffling Rangers. Not too much to say about those. Simple but functional Huffling sculpts. Definitely be used for some Huffling militia type of characters, or Huffling player characters for that matter. This, I believe, is the Dolgrim from the Death Knell set. I don't know much about their lore. It's some humanoid creature with 4 arms and 2 mouths. Very interesting. It's not something I would have gone out of my way to buy, but you know, it's another weird creature for the collection. Then we have some kobolds. Got the 3 of these kobold Trapmakers. It's a fun little sculpt, even though I find creatures, especially humanoids, sitting like this to be less useful for game purposes. But you know, it's nice to have a few more kobolds, especially since I didn't have this one from before. Could definitely use some more detailed work on the painting though. And speaking of kobolds, we have these Cobble Miners. So, fun little thing about this, my first encounter with kobolds were this miniature way back in the day. And I kind of just fell in love with it. I mean, just kobolds are really cool, and this one was just yeah, it just spoke to me somehow. I like the details on him. He's got his pickaxe, and he's got this pack on his back where he collects all the stuff he's mining. Fun stuff. Here's one that's a little bit more expensive, but sometimes you get minis that you just feel okay to pay a little more for. This is the Beholder Ultimate Tyrant, also known as the Hive Mother. So it's a very cool and intimidating beholder type creature. It's got this interesting slightly metallic sheen to the purple, and that grin is just absolutely terrifying. So yeah, I thought this was I mean, yeah, I just had to get. It's one of the super rare ones from one of the later sets. So yeah, absolutely had to have that one, even if it cost a bit extra. Then we have this fiendish Tyrannosaurus. Like a lot of the sculpts from these earlier sets, it has more cartoony proportions to it. And I got 2 of them, in fact. But even with the cartoony proportions, like the larger head and stuff, I think it's really cool looking. And this is apparently a cerebrolith. This is a very cool miniature. I had to clean this up a bit. It was covered in dust, but it's all cleaned up now, and I like that you can kind of see the brain in between the bone here on the exoskeleton. It's a rather creepy and intimidating creature. And here we have a clay golem. Just classic clay golem, vaguely human shape. He's got a loincloth, but his lack of identity or lack of personality makes him look quite creepy, which I absolutely love. Then we have this elemental creature. This is the magma hurler. It has this sort of salamander-like shape to it, but is made up of just magma and fire. So very nice elemental to have. And we have two of these tears. I have a whole bunch of these, but like I have 1,000 of these already. But you know, nice for if you want like an albino gorilla or a medium-sized yeti. These definitely do the job. So this is the Skull Crusher Ogre. So you can see ogres back in the day had very different designs than they do now. Although that said, this is far from the strangest or most different design of ogre minis. There are some quite different ones from what you see nowadays. But yeah, he's got some heavy armor, huge morning star, and a spiked shield. This is not a guy to mess around with. This translucent mini is the spectral Mage Lord. Kind of a strange, ghostly looking character. You can see the vaguely humanoid figure in there. There are a couple of pieces that are less translucent than others on it, but overall highly translucent. Yeah, it's an interesting one. This is the Dread Guard. It is a very nice mini for some evil knight or evil paladin type characters, fallen paladins or anti-paladins. They've got like classic skull imagery and all that good stuff, glowing red eyes, black armor. So cool, so classic. Very nice to get 3 of these. These guys, can definitely see myself using them in the future. Here's an old jibbering mouther. I have this one already, and I also have 3 copies of the unpainted version that I then painted up, that came with one of the board games. So I have a few of this, but it's nice to have more. These are definitely very cool Shoggoth-like creatures, and they have some very interesting abilities. Then I have 4 of these earth elementals. These are medium earth elementals. Very simple and classic earth elemental creatures. Not really much to say about them other than that I think the cool earth texture on them kind of gets lost with the lack of depth. So I think I'm going to try and just give these a wash to sort of fix that. I think they would pop a bit more with a black wash. This is the Abyssal Eviscerator. Kind of looks like a Sahuagin Baron, but those arms on the back there just sticking out from his lower back like a cross, just straight out, and one holding the forearm of one of the upper arms. It's kind of silly looking. I don't imagine me getting much use out of this one. In fact, I think this is one of my least favorites in this bunch of minis. Could have been a good one, but I don't think I'm ever going to get any use out of them. And here we have a Bargast Savager. Very cool creature. I think Bargasts are supposed to be a bit hound-like in nature, in shape. So this one is very humanoid, but a cool mini, and I like the paint job. Also got this larger bargast mini is the greater bargast. You can see it's the same design, but much larger, different pose, etc. It's got this strong spot of red on its face. I'm not sure if it's supposed to have a fuller red face or it's supposed to be like more a muted tone. I'm gonna look that up and probably fix it. Here's a very cool one. This is the aspect of Loth. So not only is it a cool Drider miniature, this is an aspect of the Queen of Spiders herself, the Drow Goddess. It's got a cool thorned whip as a weapon, and it's relatively detailed. So yeah, I think this is a super cool miniature. Then we have this Chain Devil. I think Chain Devils sort of look a bit weird, personally. But you know, it's a classic devil creature. I think there are 2 other sculpts, official sculpts of Chain Devils. Maybe there are more. I only remember a couple of ones. Speaking of chains, we also have this Chain Golem. This is a cool mini. Just a vaguely humanoid shape made out of chains. And you can also see there are these spiked flail heads somewhere in there. Like there are a couple on the arm there, a couple other places on the mini. Definitely a very, very cool miniature. The eyes, the glowing red eyes are a bit, I don't know, a bit silly, but it's also nice that they stand out a bit. Either way, this is a super cool miniature. Very happy to have it. Then we have this bronze Wyrmling. And I have 2 of it. This is one I already have a copy of, but it's nice to have several of these. Could make for an interesting encounter with a small handful of Wyrmlings. It's a nice, simple dragon sculpt. And we have more dragons. We have this white dragon Wyrmling, or I think it just says small white dragon from the Dragon Eye set. Again, a very functional and simple dragon sculpt. Not the best sculpt in the world, especially not with that noodle leg there, but you know, it works. I could definitely see myself using it. And then we have this medium silver dragon. This silver dragon is very cool. I think it's a good sculpt overall and a good paint job. I don't think I have any silver dragons, so this is the first in my collection. Also, I want to note that the paint scheme on this is very cool. It's got this bluish gray base color that is dry brushed with a silver metallic on top of it, which makes for a really, really nice effect. So that's definitely one I need to keep in mind for later. This is the Blood Fiend. So another humanoid character with 4 arms. It doesn't really do much for me. I really don't like this obvious line here where the 2 pieces are glued together. It's just like, yeah, no, I think this is a very boring sculpt. This is definitely one of the letdowns for me. But you know, a couple of bad ones doesn't really ruin the experience, so to speak. Here's a cool one. This is the Ogre Jelly, and the cool thing about this sculpt is that it is devouring this poor human soldier or whatever, like just in the middle of the process of it. So yeah, very, very cool sculpt. Strangely, it is a rare mini, which is weird for an Ogre Jelly in my opinion, but you know, very cool sculpt. And more dragons. This is a red dragon Wyrmling. I like the sculpt here, quite decent sculpt. Definitely looks like a red dragon. Yellow paint job on the tail there is just a big blotch. I might have to fix that. But yeah, it's pretty nice red dragon Wyrmling. And here we have a cursed spirit. This is a very nice ghost type creature. Definitely can be used for a lot of creatures like specters, ghosts, and what have you. There are 100 different types of spirits in D&D. I have this one already. I also have the Dungeon Command version of it, which is translucent with a black wash, and I have the unpainted board games versions of it, which I've painted up with just some simple white dry brushing. So I have quite a few of these, and I've used this a lot. So I don't think I really need more of these, but I don't mind adding another to my collection either. Here is a young adamantine dragon. I don't really know too much about adamantine dragons, but it's like a classic dragon sculpt, black painted, but not a black dragon as in the chromatic dragon, just basically the same color, but slightly different design. It's always nice to have different types of dragons. This is the ice troll from Aberrations. I already have one of these already, but it's nice to have another. It's yeah, it's a typical troll mini, but painted up like frost blue instead. Yeah, very nice to have more of these. And this is the huge red dragon. This was either the first or the second huge miniature I got. And it's from the Giants of Legend set, which was the first set of pre-painted miniatures to include huge-sized minis. I have a version of this that I've painted up myself from one of the board games, Wrath of Ashardalon, and I painted it up quite similarly, though the belly of it was painted more beige instead of orange. But I think I ended up painting even the stone part the same shade of gray. So it's a very nice adult red dragon mini. Really can't go wrong with this one. So yeah, I'm very happy to add this to my collection. And here's a fun little medium fire elemental. Just a simple little fire elemental guy. Cute little sculpt. Nice to have. This is a Loth. And yeah, it's like a small little, I don't remember if they're demons or devils. They're definitely fiends. But yeah, like a tentacle-headed, armored dog-like fiend. And then here we have a Basilisk, classic Basilisk miniature. This is one that was also in need of some cleaning. It was just covered in dust. You couldn't really see the colors properly even. But just a bit of soap water and that was fixed. Very cool Basilisk miniature. This is a Kruthic Hive Lord. I don't know much about the Kruthic creatures, but I always found them to look really cool. Definitely want to use them at some point in my games. This one could definitely use a black wash though to make it pop more, because it has a lot of details, a lot of texture that just disappears. Also, it sort of looks like this one leg was first glued on like a couple of millimeters to the left there. There's like a glue mark. Oh well. This is the half ogre barbarian. What to say about this one? First off, I think the face is really good. That huge blade is awesome. The general idea of him is cool. But proportions, man. Proportions. Like, he's got this huge upper body and he's got the tiniest little legs. Kind of ruins it for me. I cannot unsee that. There's also these terrible lines where the arms have been attached. So great idea, but for the most part, bad execution. This one isn't going to see the table anytime soon. And here's a blue slot. So this is definitely one I'm super happy about. I think this is a great blue slot sculpt, and I think it's quite well painted as well, especially with those white spots or spikes and the darker blue area on his back there. I think it looks really, really good. Slotty are very, very cool creatures, and I'm definitely happy to add this to my collection. And this is the Goth. This is definitely also one that's in one of the board games which I've painted up a version of. Though mine is painted purple instead of this redly brown color, which is a more classic color. And there's this wolf skeleton. This is also very nice to have. I do enjoy having undead minis for creatures that aren't just your standard human skeleton or human zombie, etc. Also, fun fact, this chain collar thing is loose, so you could actually just take that off if you wanted to. I'm gonna keep it on. And here we have two bone devils. These are very cool. You can see one of them is in dire needs of some paint treatment. He's lost a lot of paint. I assume it's from being handled a lot through the years. Seen a lot of love at the table. Yeah, I think I'm gonna fix this one with a bit of paint. Yeah, I don't have any bone devils, so these are definitely a nice addition. And here we have a brown dragon. I don't know too much about the lore on brown dragons, but I do know that they are not flyers, they are burrowers. So those wings are not meant for flying, and they also look a bit too small for that. I think earlier versions of the brown dragon didn't have wings at all actually. This one has seen a lot of use, definitely gotten a lot of love at the table. You can see it's been picked up and handled a lot, so a lot of the paint has come off. So this is one I definitely need to fix. See if I can find that right shade of, I want to say orangish brown. Super cool dragon miniature. And here is another one that I'm super happy to finally have. This is the good old Nothic miniature. This is a great Nothic miniature. Yeah. I think WizKids made a Nothic miniature and I don't think it looks particularly great. This one though is super cool, and that eye is well painted. This one seems to also have gotten used a lot, so it's missing a lot of the paint on the sides there, a lot of the green paint. Definitely need to fix that up, but yeah, such a cool miniature. And here we have a Goristro. Oh man, this is a cool Goristro miniature. I don't think the WizKids Goristro has anything on this guy. Just such a cool design, such great colors, just overall fantastic Goristro. And here's one I didn't think I'd like as much as I did. This is the Earth Titan. Huge sized Earth Elemental. I do have the Pathfinder Earth Elemental Lord, but I think I like this one more, even if it's probably a little bit smaller, but I like the colors of it better, the design. Yeah, I think it looks really, really cool. This one is one that definitely looked a lot better up close than on the pictures I saw. And here's another cool one. This is the Fomorian. So the Fomorian, if I recall correctly, were a race of giants, giantkin, that were originally very beautiful and vain, and they were cursed and became these hideous, disfigured creatures instead. It's a very, very cool miniature. I don't have any Fomorians already, so it's a super nice addition to my collection. And now we are moving on to WizKids miniatures. So these are all going to be huge size miniatures, mainly just giants or giantkin. First off, we have this Empyrean. Now he's not really a giant, though you can use him as such, but actually a celestial. I have the other version of him. These came with A and B versions. The other one has a different weapon and a green skirt instead of red. But it's nice to have both. I actually wanted to get this one, but they're not particularly expensive. But the shipping from the US to Norway is very expensive, so that didn't happen. And this is a Stone Giant Dreamwalker. I already have one of these. They have these, I don't know the lore for these, but they have these ship-themed objects on them. You can see there's this like wheel sticking out of the shoulder there. There's an anchor strapped to one of the arms. Yeah. Since I already have one of these, I might see if I can just do something to make this look a bit cooler. because I like the stone giants. They're very cool, but yeah, I don't get the ship stuff. This is a Cyclops, very simple Cyclops miniature. Got a big stone hammer, ready to squish some adventurers. Actually got 2 of those, so nice to have. Oh yeah, and this Fomorian actually came with this necklace. That's a fun little extra bit. Then we have Frost Giants. These are the more Norse-inspired of the giants. And you got the A and B versions. I got both of them. I already have both of them as well, but now I have double up. They have different colored clothes. One has gray, the other more brown, and different weapons. One with an axe and one with a sword. Also, I'm not too fond of the skin color on these. I prefer them to be more like a frost blue instead of this sort of teal color. But you know, I might just repaint them. And here we have the Mouth of Grolantor. Also a miniature I already have. This is a hill giant. I believe the lore is that he's been kept in chains and locked away because he's gone mad and just wants to devour food and do basically nothing else. Which is kind of weird because that's kind of how I imagine most hill giants are anyway, but apparently he's worse than most hill giants in that way. So even they thought it was a bit too much. Very cool mini. Since I have 2 of them, I kind of want to modify them. I have this idea that instead of having these pumpkins in each hand, might be some villagers he's picked up or something. Maybe that's a bit too grotesque for some people, but I think it's good fun. I do like a little bit of horror elements in my games. And finally, we have these 2 hill giants. They are super cool. Also A and B versions. I did not have these already, so these are very welcome. You can see one of them don't have a weapon but are trying to reach and grab probably an adventurer or a villager, and the other one has a spear. They have slightly different colored clothes. One is more like a moss green while the other is beige, and their hair is different colors, black and brown. And then they have those large rucksacks with one being brown and one being gray. There's quite a bit of difference in their paint schemes. So yeah, very happy to have these. I think they are very cool sculpts. So yeah, that's the haul. There's so many cool miniatures I was able to get. I paid about $220 for all of this in total, and I think that was well worth it. Especially with so many huge miniatures, and you got that beholder hive mother, you got several small dragons, and lots of cool sculpts, many rare minis, etc. Yeah, super happy with that. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me go through my latest haul of pre-painted miniatures this time. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.